Okay, so today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. The US election was exactly 1 week ago, and it was a very consequential election, especially for Bitcoin, or at least it has the potential to be a very consequential election as it relates to Bitcoin. So, of course, the price of Bitcoin has really surged, as has the US dollar, right? The value of the US dollar has really gone up. The price of Bitcoin's gone up. And I think a lot of this, right, as we both have seen, is as a result of this idea that there are two potential catalysts, right, that can propel Bitcoin to the proverbial moon, right? The first catalyst being that the United States of America will start purchasing Bitcoin in the open market. Anywhere from between 1 million and 4 million Bitcoin will be purchased, right? Or at least that is what I am seeing and hearing. If you have seen any numbers that are different, let me know. But that's kind of the range, right? 1 to 4 million Bitcoin. And second, right? So that's catalyst number one. Second, being, hey, we're going to create a regulatory framework that's far more clear, right? No more ambiguity, no more guesswork, no more, government agencies coming out of the woodwork to stifle innovation, right? No, we're going to have a really pro-Bitcoin, crypto, a regulatory environment that's going to unleash a tremendous amount of innovation. And as a result of that regulatory stance, hey, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin go up. Okay, from my perspective, only one of those two catalysts is likely to occur, okay? Now, I'm not going to complain if both happen, but I think if we were to get the second catalyst, this idea that, yes, hey, Washington, D.C. will become the Bitcoin capital of the world as a result of creating an environment that's just really, really conducive to, again, entrepreneurship, innovation, as it relates to Bitcoin and crypto in general. I think there's a really high probability that we're going to see that. Now, the reason why I'm somewhat skeptical, although again, I'll repeat it one more time, I'm not going to complain if Uncle Sam decides to buy between 1 million and 4 million Bitcoin in the open market. But the reason why I'm skeptical as to, that really happening, it really stems from the fact that, look, do the math, okay? Bitcoin is currently at about 90,000 per coin. If you buy like a million Bitcoin, right, over the, in fact, the minute you buy even 10,000 Bitcoin and you say, hey, it's me, Uncle Sam, I'm buying Bitcoin, it's part of a cohesive strategy to create some sort of Bitcoin reserve or Bitcoin treasury, right? The minute that news gets out, the price of Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. At least I think it will. And so it becomes exponentially more expensive to continue that process of buying Bitcoin. So as the price keeps going up and you have Uncle Sam going into the open market buying more Bitcoin, you're going to get a situation where it becomes extremely expensive to buy Bitcoin. Maybe not a problem if you happen to have some Bitcoin and you want to sell into that frenzy. Hey, that's great, right? But let's keep it real. Is that likely to happen? I mean, it could happen, but is it likely to happen? I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that's going to happen. I think the numbers just don't make sense. Hey, is it possible that the U.S. federal government, right, of the Bitcoin that it currently has, which it sees as part of various regulatory enforcement actions over the years, hey, maybe you hang on to that? Sure. Why not? But the idea of going into the open market and buying Bitcoin and risking that the moment that news gets out there, the price of Bitcoin is just going to surge, and then it becomes exponentially more and more expensive to continue buying Bitcoin, I don't know. And I'm not trying to be skeptical. I'm not trying to be, well, I am being skeptical, but what I mean is I'm not trying to be negative on the idea that, hey, maybe it's useful for a federal government to buy Bitcoin in the open market. But I just don't know that given the myriad of challenges which this country faces, that purchasing Bitcoin in the open market is necessarily going to make its way to the very top of the priority list. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm a bit dubious. My personal price prediction for Bitcoin as it relates to the next, say, roughly 12 months or so, say till the end of 2025, is about $200,000 a coin. Now, you may say, wow, that sounds really conservative, Stephen. Like, come on, bro. Like, that almost sounds like a joke. I hear what you're saying. The last cycle, right, we topped off at about 75,000, somewhere in there. I'm arriving at the roughly $200,000 mark by simply multiplying 70 by 3, right? That's like around $210,000 per coin. I'm just saying, hey, look, I'm certainly not going to be upset if it goes much higher than that. By the same token, I'm not going to really lose any sleep if it doesn't, really quite get to 200,000. I do think it bears mentioning that back in 2017, right, the first real major surge in the price of Bitcoin, it pretty much, topped off in December of that year at about $20,000 a coin. And then 2018 was kind of a bust, right? The price didn't really do much. You know what I mean? I think it bottomed out at like $3,500 a coin. I mean, so it's, look at, this is the nature of Bitcoin. I've heard some commentators say, hey man, we're going to go into the super cycle. Maybe, hopefully, right? Maybe, but I'm not going to count on it, right? I mean, if history is any guide, this particular digital asset called Bitcoin seems to be something that just kind of goes in cycles. And so, yeah, it's going to go up, but it'll likely come back down. So, that's kind of where we're at. Now, what's the point of all this? Well, my point is by way of saying that, hey, look, if you happen to be invested in any, Bitcoin mining stocks, right? Well, needless to say, hash prices are going to be a huge determining factor as to whether or not the company in question is going to make money, actual money. But if the price of Bitcoin does surge nevertheless, regardless of whether or not a Bitcoin mining company makes money actually mining Bitcoin, there's a really good chance that, in fact, it's not even a chance, it's a fact that if a particular company has a lot of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, as a result of various accounting rules, that increase in the price of Bitcoin in any given quarter gets to be counted as earnings. So you're going to have some companies that are reporting some like very, very, very impressive earnings. Maybe not so much because their Bitcoin mining operations are making money, but because of the accounting rules which allow the increase in the value of Bitcoin that may have taken place, or in this case will have taken place, right, in any particular quarter. That gets to get counted as earnings. So, and clearly all the mining stocks are surging in a pretty healthy way right now. But as I said, I'll just be happy if we get to 200 some odd thousand this cycle. I'm not going to hold my breath. And as it relates to the two catalysts, one being the federal government buying a bunch of Bitcoin in the open market, the other catalyst being a regulatory framework that's far more friendly and conducive to crypto generally, I'd place my bet on the government kind of getting out of the way and allowing entrepreneurs to really innovate and do some really fun and exciting things in this space. To me, that is a much more meaningful catalyst for Bitcoin. And I'll say it for the third time, I'm not going to complain if the federal government decides to go into the open market and buy a bunch of Bitcoin. I just don't even know how that is sellable, right, as an idea if the price of Bitcoin then really skyrockets and the cost to continually, make those purchases just kind of goes up and up and up. So we'll see, right? I mean, my crystal ball is not perfect, but I'm just sharing my thoughts as to what I think is going to happen in the next 12 months. But we're going to see, right? So, okay, my friend, let's stay positive. Let's be great. And we'll see each other again tomorrow.